Good morning, first hand speaking. We're now heading south on our way back to the eastern Adriatic, where we'll be starting our last patrol before heading home in 10 days' time. In area, the pattern of enforcing the UN arms embargo against the former Yugoslavia remains unchanged, and we'll soon commence challenging and, where necessary, boarding merchant vessels inbound to the Adriatic. Our current course will take us close to the Greek mainland, and then through the Corinth Canal, shortening our passage time back to the Adriatic. I hope everyone made the most of the run ashore in Istanbul, and I'm sorry we left earlier than expected this morning. That's all.
Well, we've only had one incident from last night. Is a senior rate came back offshore approximately about midnight and complained that he'd been assaulted by one of the junior rates. So obviously this morning I've got to carry out an investigation, and as it's transpired, that person, a junior rate, is alleged to have struck a senior rate about 3 times. It's going to turn out a serious offence, obviously, the junior rate striking a senior rate. At the moment we're taking statements from witnesses, and we'll possibly proceed with disciplinary action from then onwards.
The last day we was in Istanbul, went to the casino, won a lot of money and had it lifted from my pocket, along with my ID card, which causes various problems. After the casino we moved on to a club, and there was a petty officer there, senior rate. We had a big heated argument over money because I'd obviously just had all mine stolen, and he was basically rubbing me up the wrong way about the fact that he's on a lot more money than me and he's loaded. And so what happened there was we had a big argument, and as soon as I come back on board, the duty petty officer turned around and said, well, there's been an allegation made for assault. But the way it's looking is he said I slapped him a couple of times. However, I'm denying it, and there's been no witnesses to my knowledge that said they saw anything. They just heard an argument, and that was it.
On the 2nd of November, Sir Peel came on board the ship at the early hours of the 3rd of November in the morning and reported to the officer day that he had been assaulted. He stated it was by a junior rate, an LWEM. He was slapped in the face 3 times, and he was told he was a wanker. I came up with 4 charges. The first one is loss of identity card, which apparently was whilst he was in the casino. He was alleged to have been pickpocketed, but his identity card was wrapped up in the money at the time. The second charge is drunk on shore. In the actual statements in front of you, 2 of the petty officers actually state, in their opinion, he was actually drunk. P. Ornsworth, as of in the statement.
Interesting, because he says he doesn't quite say that, does he? He says.
Yeah, he actually states that he was worse the wear.
Yeah. Okay. We then come to behaving with contempt.
Right. The behaviour with contempt.
And assault.
That actually happened in the pub. When the LWEM was asked by myself if he'd called him a wanker, he replied yes, and also the gestures, he replied yes. So it's all an accusing name, so it's a self-confession, really. The worst one, I'm afraid, is the 4th one. There isn't a lot of evidence toward it, apart from the PO himself stating he was slapped and punched twice.
At a first glance, do you feel you can prove the assault?
Personally, yes.
The main worry is it's a senior rate against a junior rate, so it's, as far as I'm aware, it's my word against his. Now, what looks good in his favour is the fact that everyone sees us having an argument, and I don't deny that. And then when he come on board, apparently he's got a slight bruise under his eye. Now, however he got that, I don't know, but he may feel that he wants to get his own back on me because of the argument we had, and he can just put 2 and 2 together and say, well, yeah, LWEM Clavin did that. So.
Everybody's on his side. I mean, 99% of the ship's on his side.
At the moment, we're left with strong circumstantial evidence, strong-ish, certainly the medical side of it. But other than that, we come down to his word against.
Yeah, so it's one word against the other.
And the more you read into it, the more you find yourself asking the question, you know, was everybody looking away? I mean, nobody appears to have seen the key moment. How strongly do you feel about the ID card instance?
Well, it's a separate incident totally as to the one in the pub. That's straightforward and clear cut. You should actually plead guilty for that one, because straightforward prima facie case.
LWEM Clavin!
Sir!
LWEM Clavin, question. Off cabs! LWEM Clavin, sir. Did on the 2nd of November 1994 lose his Royal Navy identity card, form S1511, issued to him for his use for naval purposes.
LWEM Gladman, do you understand the charge?
Yes, sir.
I shall try this case myself. If I find you guilty, I may punish you myself or pass you on for punishment depending on your record. Do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, sir.
Plead guilty, sir.
When done. Yeah.
Salute. When done, can you confirm that you was in the casino with Elwem Gladman on the night of the 2nd November?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what Elwem Gladman was doing in the casino?
During the night, sir, we were actually playing roulette and blackjack.
Can you state how much Elwem Gladman was winning or losing?
He was winning quite a bit, actually, sir.
Can you tell me how much?
Off the top of me, had about 25 million Turkish lira tops.
No more questions, sir.
Was that winnings that he made of about 24 million?
Yes, sir.
The end of it?
Yes, sir.
Up to the stage you knew?
Yes, sir.
Right, thank you.
Right. Salute. Left turn. Quick march.
Owen Gladman, where were you keeping this money?
In my back pocket, sir, with my ID card. It was just loose, it wasn't in a wallet, sir. I then raised the alarm with the security staff, sir.
That was all your money completely gone?
Everything, sir, not a penny left, sir.
How much money did you go in there with?
£100, sir.
Right, Owen Gladman, there are 2 points I'd like to make. The first one is that it's a security risk and that the loss of ID cards actually compromises that security. I'm happy that the circumstances and the evidence that's been given to me would tend to suggest and prove that you lost your ID card through theft. But there's one other point that I'd like to draw out for you, and that's that whether you took reasonable steps for the care and preservation of that ID card. Putting it in your back pocket, along with £400 money, as you put it, a packed casino, I don't think is entirely taking reasonable steps for its care and preservation. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Acquitted.
Acquitted. On cap. Right turn. Right wheel. Quick march.
Thank you very much, Master. I'm on my way out.
I always feel that they feel they have to have a little dig, no matter how innocent you are. There's always that little element of a dig at the end, you know, to perhaps belittle you, I don't know. But yeah, that went all right.
That's one down.
One down. 3 to go. So we'll see. Keep things crossed.
Good morning, first time speaking. We're now lining up on a westerly heading for the entrance to the Corinth Canal. For those of you, and I'm one of them, who haven't actually been through the Corinth Canal, it's one of the most extraordinary examples of late 19th century engineering. It was opened in 1893, 6 miles long and just over 26 feet deep, and joins the Aegean and the Ionian Seas. Once we're in it, only 15 feet either side, and the pilot and the tug making sure we don't come near to either side. By actually going through the Corinth Canal, we will be saving 100 miles of the trip and get into area a day earlier. That's all.
Are you a strict captain?
Am I a strict captain? Well, that's an interesting question. I work on the principle that it's best to be consistent, and so certainly I want to make sure that people know where they stand. We have scales of punishment for standard offences, but having said that, many of them need to be looked at individually. I mean, the overriding thing is me, a single judge and jury, I've got to be clear beyond reasonable doubt that I can correctly apply justice. I've had a quick scan through these statements that Teflon gave me last night, and your charges. Right, well, who wants to take me through it?
I'll start for a minute, sir. First charge being was on 2nd November 94 drunk on shore. Statements from Petty Officer Witter and from Petty Officer Unsworth both state the fact that, in their opinion, Gladman was drunk. Unsworth's statement says that he was under, just refresh my memory, he was under the weather, or something worse to that effect.
The worse for wear.
There we are.
I think it's...
Yeah. Appeared worse
Yeah.
for wear. And I say, well, in his opinion, was he or was he not drunk? He stated he was drunk. So that'd be straightforward, sir, by the two petty officers. Something you must take into consideration as well. The two petty officers had been drinking themselves.
Drunk returning on board is a higher scale than drunk on shore, is it?
Drunk on
Yes.
board's a high scale.
Oh, that's the worst, yes.
Yeah.
But where does drunk on shore compare to a drunk returning
The lower part
drunk
of the
on board?
scale. The lower part of the scale.
Yes, that's all.
Well, the second charge, with contempt, but also states that Gladman actually called him a wanker and gestured with his hand being closed, though he was doing the wanking movements. Gladman, I asked during the Q's and A's whether he actually stated this, and he said yes. He since came back afterwards and he said he misunderstood the question at that time.
I think it will be quite difficult to put that kind of gloss on it, in view of everything else.
Right. On the third charge, I think I'll hand over to the supply officer for this one, sir, because he's got various things he wishes to point out.
Yes, it's assault, in my view, can occur, well, obviously can occur between individuals of the same rank and in military personnel or civilian or whatever. My concern in talking to the Marshal at Arms was that we hadn't, by charging him with assault, included the dimension that he was actually having a go at somebody, allegedly, who was his superior officer. And you could charge him under Section 11 with using or offering violence to a superior officer. Going back to assault for a second, if you charge somebody with that, so you don't actually have to connect with the blow, hence there's no charge of attempted assault. So that charge, if we stuck with it, would enable you to deal both with a situation where somebody, for example, said, yes, I saw his hand strike his face, or somebody say, well, no, there was a great flurry of activity, I held him back. Maybe these things might be said, but I didn't actually see the blow land.
We haven't got anybody who actually says there, who actually saw any arm being raised,
I see what you mean.
Any connect.
Right. But in that case, you charge him with offering violence, and you're in the same league as that type of assault, which doesn't actually involve a connection, but causes the apprehension of danger. Wouldn't you say?
We haven't got any evidence as well that said he offered violence.
Not yet.
No, certainly.
This is
As I was saying, I can only go by with the evidence I have in front of me. Sir.
He must come to the table charged with something to do with
Yes.
under one of those sections,
We
under
can't-
assault or striking.
Also, watch a 7-set trap bearing a 180 at 14 miles. We have a 1 outbound Mediterranean, 1 outbound merchantman bearing a 208.
This is Watchman 90. I intend to send a boarding party to examine your manifest and cargo in accordance with the United Nations Security Council Resolution 820. And no harm will be done to your vessel, your crew, or your cargo.
Okay, listen, a quick brief. The vessel's name is Osa. Okay, it's a Croatian ship going into Rijeka. Its cargo is 300 tons of citrus fruit. Okay, there's 17 people on board, 15 crew, and 2 female passengers. Okay, 2 people on the bridge, 2 in the engine room. The rest will be mustered in their crew room or saloon, as they call it. Master's very helpful, speaks good English. Don't see it being a major problem. So first stick should be ready to dismount in a couple of minutes. Okay. Course north, roger, sir.
My seaboat, the boat,
Yes.
will come alongside with some more people for me to help search. Okay.
Okay, never mind.
Okay. We'll get there.
Antenna, this is Watchman 90, Watchman 90, over. This is Watchman 90, I request you alter your course to 180 and reduce your speed to your minimum speed possible, over.
Put your light on. Not very bright.
Okay. You've been an engineer, yes? You're the engineer, sorry. If you can come with me.
There's crate upon crate of fruit down here. We're going to go to the back and have a closer look around.
Yeah, it's 300 tons of grapefruit.
Roger, the search of the accommodation has now been complete. The holds have been checked and are clear. The engine room has been checked and is clear. All other compartments have been checked and are clear. Recommend this vessel can be cleared. Over.
This is the BBC World Service, and we begin with the news headlines on Saturday, the 5th of November.
There has been heavy fighting throughout the day in northwestern Bosnia, as Bosnian Serb forces try to halt the advance by the mainly Muslim government army.
And newspaper reports in Britain have alleged that the leading footballer, Bruce Grobbelaar, has accepted bribes from an Asian gambling syndicate to lose matches.
After you've been at sea for a while, you do tend to get on everyone's nerves, basically because of the closeness of it all and living in and out of each other's pockets. There's no space on board to which you'd call your own, so you always feel invaded no matter where you are. That does cause a lot of friction, like I say, especially after you've been at sea for a while. You just have to grin and bear it.
When we cry to thee, for those in peril on the sea.
Lord God, keep under your protection all those whom we love.
Yeah, I was due to marry early August. The wedding had to be cancelled. The relationship is no longer on. Whether this draft is a cause of that breakup of the relationship, I don't know. But I was a bit pissed off at that, simply because I was told that I wouldn't go to sea till November, and which is the reason why I picked August for my wedding. And then the Navy turned around and gave me a custard pie and said, you will go to sea. I did all that I could to get off this trip, but they weren't having none of it.
Pour into our hearts such love towards you.
I understand there's a job that's got to be done. However, I don't think for a minute I'm the only LMO that's stuck shoreside. I mean, there's plenty of people that could have done what I'm doing. But however, the job has got to be done. After all, that's what we signed on the dotted line for. So the Navy's got us by the short and curlies, really.
This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Proverbs 6 cautions us against folly, laziness and wickedness.
You think you're cut out for marriage?
Well, I don't know. I don't suppose anyone knows that, if we're cut out for marriage. I don't know. Oh, what's the divorce rate now? 1 in 3, isn't it? So, probably more now. I don't know. It's something... Well, I thought I was. However, I didn't even get that far. But who'd have known it might have only lasted a week after the date. I'll never know though, will I? Not now.
You have wonderful, sir. Owen Gladman. Arctic Elbow Gladman. Off cap. Owen Gladman, sir. The first charge reads: was on the 2nd of November 1994 drunk on shore in Sherlock Holmes Public House, Istanbul. Second charge reads:
quick look. You want to have a look, see what you think. Can't copy anybody else, obviously. 50p, quick whack, maybe make a 10 on it. Never know, could be lucky. Anybody else want to have a shot in there? The old street side. What we're doing is a little bit joviality. The boys getting done, so, but you've got to have a laugh at it, or else it'll just drag you all down. So you have a wee sweepstake, 50 pence in. We just basically guess what he's going to get, a big fine, some sort of punch of loss, a badge or his rate or whatever, and the closest wins all the money at the end. Like, it's just a bit of humour, kind of thing that happens. Nobody's got any sympathy for you in the Navy when you get done. They all just try and make money with it.
Make him walk a plank.
This is naval humour, yeah. Blunt, very harsh, but it's a good laugh.
Owen Gladman, do you understand those 3 charges? Master, you don't like the facts.
Sir, I have the facts of the case for the prosecution, sir. On the 3rd of November 1994, sir, Petty Officer returned from night leave and made a report to the Officer Day. He stated the fact that he was struck by Owen Gladman.
At the moment, we've got like the biggest fines up to 650 quid. Sharky at £400. It's a bit easy, that one.
Naval humour, it sounds as though it's really nasty. Nobody really wants to see anybody go over the wall or lose their rate or anything like that. Because of the close community we live in, everybody's living in each other's laps all the time, so I suppose we wind each other up all the time. We're testing them all the time. How far will they go before they break? And that sounds really nasty. How far will they go before they break? But it's not. The Navy themselves can put us in testing scenarios, but we take it even further. But that's just the way we are.
Also during that conversation, sir, he was alleged to have struck POW with his right hand to the right side of his face, sir. Those are the facts appertaining to the 3 charges placed in front of you, sir. Those are the facts of the case.
Thank you. Owen Glavin. Well, I consider the charges, if proved, would probably justify your punishment being at least this rating. Because of the possible seriousness of the consequences, you now have the right to be tried by court-martial if you so desire, or alternatively, you can be tried summarily by me. You have 24 hours for consideration, and when you've reached your decision, you must let me know whether you wish to be tried by court-martial or to be tried summarily by me. Do you understand that? We will now have a standover for you to make your decision. 24-hour standover.
24-hour standover. Defaulter, ho! On, cap. Right, turn. Quick, march. Put your tail for standover, sir.
It's a big decision to make, whether to opt for summary trial by captain or to opt for court-martial, which then I'll get a proper barrister and jury, that sort of thing. What'll happen there if I choose to be tried by the captain? If he finds me guilty, his decision is the final, no matter what happens.
Summary punishment is a total farce, because when you go up to the table, when you go up there, basically what you're going up there to find out is what it's going to cost you. You have mitigation, which you hope will reduce your punishment. There's no yes, no, are you guilty? They know what they're going to give you before you even walk in there. I've been in trouble once or twice, or 3 times, but the thing is that each time I've gone up there, I don't think I've had a fair trial. It's not been a trial, it's been a showcase.
Well, it's not so much the fine heavily, but the loss of rate will obviously constitute a drop in pay, and it'll be over X amount of months. Now, I'm a single man with a high mortgage. It was like a 2 persons mortgage. However, I've now carried that on my own for various personal reasons. So I'm struggling as it is anyway. So that's why I don't take this situation so lightly.
What I'm worried about is that if they decide to make an example, and they do that occasionally, purely and simply to frighten other people from doing the similar sort of thing, and they come down really heavy on those people. So I'm hoping that isn't the case in this instance.
The Naval Discipline Act gives the commanding officer of a warship very wide-ranging powers of punishment, called summary punishment because he can mete it out himself there and then. And one particularly challenging factor that we have to take account of is that in this small and intensely living community, everybody knows everybody else. And there is a particular requirement for objectivity laid on the command and laid on those whose job it is to advise. It is not the easiest thing to sustain in a community like this, and that's all the more reason for absolutely ensuring that we absolutely do. But it is possible to view the inevitable subjectivity that, and perhaps sometimes the taking of sides that occurs perhaps throughout the ship's company, in a positive light, because you get just such a huge welter of feedback. I mean, it doesn't affect what in the end is done, but it is an alternative source of information that you can listen to with the appropriate kind of ear.
Dean's on 5 days and 200 quid. Tony, that's you, innit? Right, Tony. 400, loss of badge, 7 days, 10. Chats is case dismissed due to lack of evidence. Stu, 220 quid. But you've got to get exact on the money, you're not getting it. A bloody good spanking as well, that's from a steward.
So, court-martial ashore or captain on the ship? Have you made a decision yet?
Yeah, I think I'll possibly opt for trial by the captain. I don't think there's enough here to go for court-martial, so see what happens. Play it by ear. My fingers are crossed anyway. I'm quietly confident, quietly. But, in saying that, I'll probably go over the water mark.
SCC bridge starts at the starboard sign. Anything set 58 heads.
Head 28. Cleared port 10.
Port 10.
I think say it. East of 5.
She's been out here for about the same time as us, probably about a week longer, and she's now going home. So there's an elated mood inside Nottingham at the moment because they're going home. They've just finished the stores transfer, passing all our mail and stores over. And as soon as this is done, we're going to turn around to the north and put her astern of us, and then in the traditional way, and she will come up the port side with their ships coming on deck, sort of waving and shouting wonderful things to us. It's traditional, they have hoses, coloured smoke, flags up and everything else. Mostly the ships trying to outdo each other. What we've got lined up is we've got hands on the launcher that wave goodbye to them. We've got coloured smoke coming out the funnel, I hope. We've got flags up, some with a meaning, some without a meaning. There'll be music playing over the upper deck broadcast, which we hope they should hear. It should look quite spectacular.
From Stanley, sir.
Owen Gladman, you've had a little bit more than the 24-hour delay now to consider how you wish to be tried on the 3 charges that were read out the day before yesterday. Have you come to a decision?
Yes, sir.
And how do you wish to be tried?
By you, sir.
By me. Yeah, I shall now proceed to try this case myself. Master, would you read out the charges?
The first charge reads:
This is Watchman 90. I intend to send a boarding party to examine your manifest and cargo in accordance with the United Nations Security Council Resolution 8.2. No harm will be done to your vessel, your crew, or your cargo. Over.
Owen Gladman, do you understand the charges?
Yes, sir.
Do you now plead guilty to the first charge or not guilty of being drunk on shore?
Not guilty, sir.
Please, sir.
And the second charge of behaving with contempt, do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty, sir.
Please, sir.
And the third charge of use of violence, do you plead guilty or not guilty to that charge?
Not guilty, sir.
Please are all repeat, sir.
What I'd like to do now, sir, is call POWEA to relate his account of the incident, sir.
Good position, on the spot. Third man's going now. Third man is going. Good position, third man is there on the spot. Fourth man is going now. Forward and right 1 yard. Good position, last man's on.
You said he came into the pub and came straight up to you. Did you see Elwyn Gladman come through the door into the pub?
Yes, after about an hour I'd been in there when I saw Elwyn Gladman come in. He appeared drunk to me as he didn't appear that steady on his feet. Upon seeing me, he came straight up to me and started calling me a wanker and gesturing the same in my face. I tried to calm him on this matter. He then slapped me in the face. P.O. Witter at this point was between us. Gladman then came round him and once again punched me on the left side of my face.
Which hand did he use?
His right hand, I believe, sir.
Did you make any other attempt other than remonstrating with him?
I asked him to step back, sir, as he looked like he might carry out another attack.
When Elwyn Gladman called you a wanker, did he do anything else?
He was gesturing in my face the same, sir.
In your face?
Yes, very close to my face.
Had you been drinking that night?
Yes, I had, sir.
How much?
I had 2 glasses of beer.
2 glasses of beer. You say Gladman looked very drunk when he came to the bar. What do you base that information?
Well, his general manner was unsteady. He didn't appear to be walking with any purpose.
Why do you think he came straight to you and was angry with you?
He seemed to have a problem with the fact that I'd only been in for a short amount of time and I was a petty officer. He found this point very annoying, sir, and made several comments about this down the mess.
So you didn't labour the point at all about being a petty officer and being up all night?
I fought my corner on the matter, but it appeared to have been... It didn't appear to amount to anything, because I saw him in corridors days after. We didn't actually speak, but there didn't appear to be any trouble either.
Did you fight your corner on this night?
No, I didn't. I was extremely sober, and I realised the situation was getting out of hand. And I realised any attempt to argue on my part was only going to inflame the situation more.
Kez, make sure that he stays in contact with you. Entering hold number 3 now.
Why do you think in a packed bar that nobody saw Elwyn Gladman actually strike?
Because everyone had been in there quite a while, sir, and most of them weren't paying any attention to it.
It's taken you in after the incident.
I was very upset about it, sir. I was quite shocked and very angry as well that I'd actually been struck.
The thing with Gladys is that he's liked by everybody, so nobody wants to see him go over the wall or end up in DQs or anywhere like that. So I wouldn't like to see him go over the wall. I've known him for 3 years. So I'd like to think he'll get away with the charges that he's facing, because I don't think he's guilty, personally. So you've got 280 people together, living in messes of anything up to 30 people. You're bound to get on each other's nerves. There'll always be one person who will annoy you more than anybody else, I suppose.
What I'd like to do now, sir, is call P.O. Witter.
Petty Officer Witter!
Petty Officer Witter, would you tell the captain what you know of the incident ashore in Istanbul in that public house?
I was in the pub, sir, and looked across and there was Elwyn Gladman and Pepsi were arguing. I walked over to see what was happening, and Pepsi was actually in a very distressed state. He was crying, asked him what was the matter, and he actually said that Elwyn Gladman had hit him. And I actually said to Elwyn Gladman, "You've made your point, you know, now got back on my boards," and that word, sir. Basically, that was it for the actual incident.
Who was it? How was Elwyn Gladman behaving?
In what way, sir?
How was he behaving? Animatedly, quietly?
Well, the finger was out, sir.
Say again?
The finger was out, sir. A finger.
Whose finger?
Elwyn Gladman, sir.
And whereabouts was it?
Well, you know, in front of him, sir.
How far away from P.O.'s face?
Well, about this far, as we were talking, or arguing, sir.
What was he doing with his finger?
Wagging it, sir.
Right. Where were you at this point?
I was facing the bar, about, say, from me to you, sir.
You were this close to...
Away from the actual two, sir. They're in a corner by the patio doors at the back of the pub, sir.
Right. Did you have your back to them, or were you facing them?
Initially, sir, I had my back to them.
Why did you stand between them?
It was quite heated, sir. So I was just a precaution, really.
What was concerning you?
That something might happen, sir.
What do you mean something might happen?
Well, if there's an argument going, sir, people had beers, normally ends up fighting, don't they, sir?
Did you see any physical contact between the two of them?
No, sir.
Did you see anything that could be construed as something?
Sorry.
At the end of the incident, what was the state of Peel?
Very slow, so he was sobbing. He was hyperventilating. He was in a right state, sir.
Did you have to say anything?
Tears, sir, until I saw his life out, basically. It was embarrassing seeing a grown man being talked to by a leading hand and crying his eyes out, sir. It was embarrassing.
The punishment in the Navy is very black and white. The best that can happen to Gladys is all the charges can be dropped. Insufficient evidence. The worst can be going over the wall, losing his rate, maybe even kicked out of the Navy. You never know. Nobody wants to see him go over the wall.
Elwyn Gladman, I've heard the case for the prosecution of these 3 charges, and I now come to the point of deciding whether the case which needs to be answered. And having heard the evidence, I'm going to dismiss the charge of being drunk on shore. And on the other 2 charges, I'm going to call a standover, and I want to look at an appropriate lesser charge, and when that's been framed, it'll be given to you in your DO to consider, and the table will then be reconvened. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So.
Standover. Order on, cap. Right, turn. Right wheel, quick march.
It's frightening. Yeah, it's frightening. It's just you.
Everybody looking at you.
Yeah. and they're talking about you and over you and around you.
What are you thinking about all that time? Are you just keeping your mind on it, or are you letting yourself drift away somewhere?
I thought of various things while I was in there, actually. To be quite honest, I was looking at the seawall hoist, and I was thinking that it could do with a coat of paint in some of the places, but that was just my mind drifting off, that was. And then I got back to the seriousness of it all, but don't ask me why I thought that, but that's the way it goes. I'm going to have a cup of tea, a well-earned cup. See you later.
What's the crack then?
Get on. They dropped the drunk a short charge.
Yeah.
And they're lowering the other 2 charges to possibly provocation and that sort of thing. Basically, gobbing off and being a naughty boy.
Definitely going to get you on some then, haven't
They want to. They got to prove whatever the next charge is yet.
So half of it's gone then.
So I mean, it's already gone down from assault to various other bits and bobs. If it carries on this way, it'll be accused of buying him a drink or something like that. I think.
Getting around it.
Yeah, very possibly. What did you put on the sweepstake?
All the charges dismissed, apart from behaviour.
There you
get
go.
done 400 quid for behaviour.
33% so far. You're winning. It's the best you buy me a beer.
I think you still deserve a bloody good spanking.
Do you?
I'll put for that.
Well. Got him on the run there.
Got him.
Easy, innit?
Best get something. We've got a sweepstake going in, you know what I mean? There's money involved.
There's one charge of provocative behaviour I think they're going to go for. Okay, likely to cause a disturbance.
We'll then ask you whether you plead guilty or not guilty of the new charge.
Can I just have another read of the charge?
Sure.
Threatening behaviour likely to cause a disturbance. The evidence that's come out so far, okay, the fact that you had this argument, that you were the one that was wagging the finger and shouting loudly. A lot of people have said that he was fairly passive. Okay, the fact you went away, came back, can be construed as provocative behaviour. If he started arguing with you, then that would be different. But there's no way at the moment, with the information or the witnesses we've got, that you can say that. There's nothing substantial. You can say it yourself and try and cast doubt on it that way.
Well, I'm not guilty.
Not guilty. Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah.
Go on.
However, I might get up there. So.
Owen Gladman! Off cap. Owen Gladman from Stanley, sir. One new charge, sir, and the charge reads: did on the 2nd of November 1994, without reasonable excuse, use provocative behaviour likely to cause a disturbance.
Alan Gladman, do you understand this new charge?
Yes, sir.
Do you plead guilty or not guilty to that charge?
Guilty, sir.
Please report, sir.
Right. Give any mitigation, any statement you wish to make. Do you want the DWA to speak to you? DWA.
So, on the evening of the 2nd of November, Elwyn Gladman had been out to the casino in Istanbul. He had won a substantial amount of money. There's a previous argument that's gone on, sir. They've had an argument about it before. Elwyn Gladman was pretty distraught at losing the money, sir. His relationship broke up, leaving him with a large mortgage, sir, so he feels the loss of money quite hard. He admits that by going back and continuing the argument, he is guilty of the charge, sir. He regrets the incident. I've been assured that this incident will not happen again, sir.
Elwyn Gladman, I'm satisfied that on that particular evening, as the charge states, without reasonable excuse, did use provocative behaviour, likely to cause a disturbance. And I'm also well and truly satisfied that a disturbance occurred. What was not clear in the way the table ran was exactly what happened, and I was not content in terms of proof on any of the previous 3 charges that were in front of you. Hence they were dismissed. However, I expect everybody to behave in a responsible way, and you didn't, right? You want to get sorted out, all right? You want to get, everyone's got to live together in a ship, and if they meet ashore, or as this ship does frequently, people find a certain bar, and the whole idea of going to a similar bar is for general camaraderie and general relaxation, but as friends, right? And if you do harbour any difficulty with other people, you've got to be responsible enough to actually behave in the correct way, right?
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, you know, you're not worthy of having a hook on your arm. Fined £150.
Fine, £150 for one payday, sir.
One payday.
Recovered for one payday. Hold that on cat. Right, turn, right wheel, quick march.
What are you getting, close? Hey, you get £150 fine. It's not bad, is it, from attending manslaughter down at that bugger? How'd you get on, Nick? £150 fine. And that's it. That's a lot. Still got your badge? Still got my badge. Right. Yeah. Beat the system. That's all that counts. Beat the system. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, golden bollocks!
Yeah. I'll give you some money for his present. Yeah, it's ain't going there. Yeah, because I'm scared. Oh, I will be. Whee! £150 fine. That it? Walked it, mate. Walk in the park.
Jammy bastard.
Walk in the park.
Sit down, lost your way, fucking kicked outside.
Must be worth the beer. Need one of these buggers. Oh, I tell you what, that's golden, that is. Absolutely golden.
Just under 150?
Yeah. One payday. Dollar rent, single killer.
You're well let off on there, weren't you? How on earth you got that? I don't know. What did the skipper say?
Well, I had to plead not guilty to this. Guilty to this one.
Did you?
I wouldn't have got away with not guilty. Not after swanning so many charges. You know, he said, we've got to stop somewhere like it. Come on, Gladys. Just take this one. I can't be doing with a rigmarole.
Oh, dear. I think you've got away quite lightly there.
Golden bollocks, mate. Golden bollocks. Right, lads, you all know what Glass got, 150 quid. So we'll have a quick look through the list to decide who's won the ward, as it were. Right, Sharky, 400 quid. I get a bit off. And Mel's off. 500 lost a badge. Nosey, 410 days. Guy, 350, 7 days. Phil, 350. Dean, 5 days. 200 quid, Dean. It's not bad. Woo! Stu, 220. Chats, case dismissed due to lack of evidence. 400 due to behaviour. Andy Conway is 200 quid, lost a badge, and a bloody good spanking. I prefer that one. Who do you reckon? Nearest fine? And that is Andy Conway with 200 quid gets it in.
There was no charges for the pump action shotgun then?
No, they didn't catch me on that. I wiped my prints off of that.
Good morning, President speaking. At 10 o'clock this morning, an Italian helicopter will be coming in from Area Montenegro, carrying our NATO Squadron Commander, Commodore van der Loek. He's taking the opportunity, before we're relieved from Area by the Dutch ship Bondelaar, to visit and to say a few words to us about the operation out here and our contribution to it. That's all.
Good morning, Commodore speaking. Within a week now, Brilliant's deployment in the standard format will end, and you will hand your experience over to another Royal Navy unit. Your very valuable contribution to the operations in the Adriatic will then be history, and you will undoubtedly be looking forward to the end of the year, when you will celebrate so many special days with people of your own choosing. I'm also convinced that during one of those days, you will look back and ask yourself, why did we do all this? Be aware then that this operation is one of the things that we can do to make life a little better now, and hopefully much better in the future for all those people that live on the eastern side of the Adriatic. I very much wanted to pay this last visit and have the opportunity to thank you for your contribution to this force before you go home. I'm proud of Brilliant. It was both a pleasure and a reassurance to have you around. Thank you very much. That's all.
Tomorrow we will no longer be in any operational areas. It's like a big sigh of relief. It's like, oh, you know, thank God this shit is over. You know, because it's, to a lot of us out here, it hasn't meant anything. Complete waste of time. They don't want it at all. But we don't seem to be doing anything. We just seem to be, we're boarding ships and...
Yeah, but that's what we're here for.
Yeah,
it's not a waste of time, because I'm sorry, but I still believe it's a deterrent. All right, it doesn't affect you or I, but it affects the people over there. So I do believe we're doing a good job.
Roger.
This is Brilliant. Are you ready to assume duties for Area Ethel? Over.
This is Wobbler. Roger. Wobbler is happy to take duties of sub-area Ethel at 0945 Zulu. Over.
That's it. We're on our way home.
Brilliant. Roger. Have a good patrol. Out.
This is Wobbler. Roger. I wish you a very nice port visit in Cagliari and afterwards a very safe trip home and a Merry Christmas. Over.
Oh, right. We've done it.
That's it.
We've cracked it.
That's the end of 6 months bloody hard work. Over and out.
Well, it's the end of our final patrol, and the ship's done jolly well in keeping going over a long deployment in a fairly repetitive task. There have been variations. We've had some good visits at things to break it up, and professionally there have been a lot of rewards.
We've been out here 6 months now, guarding a country we can't even spell. And today's the day we finally get relieved. Every mile we do now is a mile closer to home. The worst part's over now. It's all downhill going home. That's it. Just the home straight. Gibraltar. The highlight of the whole trip. It's going to be fantastic. Bay of Biscay. It's western approaches, and we're there. Eddiston Lighthouse, and then you know you're home when you see Eddiston. And I'm getting soaking wet, by the way. Is this for effect? You got some bloke at there chugging water at me.
Keeping and making the peace is a vital and honourable activity to which we're all committed. No one can justify war, but so many human predicaments teach us it is often the lesser of two evils. There have only been 2 years in the peace that followed the surrender of Japan in 1945 in which no British servicemen and women have not lost their lives.
Let us remember before God and commend to his shorekeeping those who have died for their country in war. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.